guys, I'm Soumya, and on my channel Soumya's Book Station I make lots of bookish content. So if you are a book lover or you want to become one, then do subscribe to my channel and do not forget to press the bell icon so that every time I post a video you get notified. So in today's video I'm going to talk about the books that I read in October 2018, and I will share my thoughts on those books as well. Reading wise, October was kind of bad for me, but I have decided to look at the bright side of the things, and the bright side is that even though I did not read a lot of books, I still ended up reading 6 books in October, which is much better than reading no books. Also, I have read 84 books so far in 2018, which means that I have to read 16 more books to get to 100. Last year I read 98 books, so I was this close. This year I don't want it to be like that. Let me know in the comment section how many books have you managed to read so far this year, because it's just November and December now, and then 2018 will come to a close. This is a very alarming piece of information for somebody as lazy as me, because I am in a panic mode. I have a lot of targets to achieve before this year ends. Anyway, let's get into the video. The first book is Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. So I picked up a book by Agatha Christie after quite a gap, but then that's the side effect of having an overwhelming TBR. Anyway, I couldn't have asked for a better book to pick up after a gap by Agatha Christie, because this book has every element of a good murder mystery and I highly recommend it. So in this story, there is this 20-year-old girl named Lynette who has beauty, wealth, she has admirers, she is a very intelligent girl. Basically, she has everything that a girl can ask for, and when she has all those things, she also has enemies. So this story is taking place in Egypt. Basically, a bunch of people are traveling to Egypt on a vacation. So Lynette is on that vacation as well, along with other characters also. So obviously a murder takes place in this book, and Hercule Poirot is the one solving the murder. Apart from the fact that this book has a thrill factor that I enjoyed a lot, I'm going to say I loved reading about the characters in this book as well. They are very well fleshed out. And Agatha Christie has also kind of turned a little bit philosophical in this book through Hercule Poirot's character. Only a little bit, not much, but I enjoyed that thing a lot. The next book is Love Her Wild by Atticus. Now, Atticus is a really famous Instagram poet for those of you who don't know, and his identity is a mystery. I got this book because of the hype that surrounded it, and I'm going to be very honest, I did not end up loving this book as I was expecting to. The thing is, it's a very beautiful book to own. It has like really pretty pictures, and the kind of poems that this book has, some of them are really nice and some of them you are able to connect to, but the others are just there in the book. And as far as I'm concerned, those other poems, even if they were not in the book, I wouldn't have minded. So if you are a fan of Atticus and if you want to own a book written by him, that's a separate thing altogether. But if you ask me, I'm not going to say that go ahead and get this book, because I felt that this was not that good for me. It was kind of a mixed bag. The next book is Mortal Dawn by Saadat Hasan Manto. So this is a collection of 50 stories and sketches from the time of partition. This book has been translated from Urdu by Khalid Hassan. So this was my first book by Manto, and it was about time that I read a book by him. So when I say that this is a collection of stories from the time of partition, what I mean is that this book is a collection of the stories that tell about the atrocities that were committed during the time of partition by people on both sides of the border. So I feel this is a very important book, and this book also gives us an insight into the mindsets of people who were alive during that time. So this is a very important piece of work, and even though I completely appreciate and acknowledge that this being a translation means that a lot of the beauty of the original text got lost, this book still ends up having a devastating impact on the reader. At least it had a devastating impact on me. One thing that happened in case of this book is that I was not able to put this book down, but at the same time I was scared to get into the next story, because there were so many atrocities that were being committed during that time that have been talked about in these stories, that it's like that when you read one story, you get scared to read the other one, that what horror am I going to read about next. So that is the impact that happens when you pick this book up, but at the same time, it's a book that everybody should read, and I highly recommend it. The next book is The Speaking Stones by Veer Singh. So I've reviewed this book on my channel as well as my blog preciselysoumyas.com. I'll leave the link to both the reviews in the description box. So this is a travelogue from the time when the author went to Israel in March and April 2009 for academic purposes. He has chronicled his experiences of meeting the people there, going to different places, and basically getting trained in environmental management there. So all these things have been talked about in this book. If you don't know anything about Israel, this book is definitely going to enlighten you. Although let me warn you here that this book is not completely light-hearted as you would want a travelogue to be, because this book has placed a lot of emphasis on the environmental preservation aspects that Israel follows, so it becomes kind of educational as well. The next book is Half the Night is Gone by Amitabh Bagchi. So in this book, a celebrated Hindi novelist loses his son and he is obviously heartbroken. So to kind of cope up with his heartbreak, he writes a story that is taking place in the household of Lala Moti Chand, and in that story, he talks about Lala Moti Chand and his sons and a few other characters from that household. So in this book, basically two stories are taking place. One is that of Vishwanath and his life, and the other one is the story that he's writing within the book. So both these stories are taking place side by side and they gel together so seamlessly that you do not feel abrupt at all when the story switches. When it goes from Vishwanath's story to Lala Moti Chand's story, it's just very natural and the flow is extremely smooth. I loved this book. For me, this book is something that everybody should pick up. It is a slow read, let me be very honest. But the reason that I love this book is because how through the story the author has made a commentary on the human condition in general. How he has talked about human life. That is something that literally touched my heart. There were so many moments in this book that made me cry a lot. This is a poignant story, so this made my heart heavy, but at the same time it was also soothing to read this book. I don't know how else to explain it. I am very thankful that I picked this book up because the kind of mindset I am in, this was a perfect read for me. The next book is The Girl in Room 105 by Chetan Bhagat. I read this one on my Kindle. So I also reviewed it on my channel. You can check the review out. The link for that will be in the description. So this is a murder mystery and it has been narrated by the protagonist whose name is Keshav Raj Purohit. Now Keshav Raj Purohit is not over his ex-girlfriend Zara, and on the eve of Zara's 27th birthday, he gets a message from Zara and she asks him to come to her hostel room number 105 in Himadri complex in IIT Delhi, and Keshav is very excited to meet her, and when he reaches her room, he finds something that he's not prepared to handle. So overall, I did not have a very favorable opinion of this book. I am going to say that there were aspects in this book that made me think that it was better than his previous two books, but there were other things in this book that made me not like this book that much as well. So if you want to check out my detailed review, the link for that, as I said, will be in the description box. So these are the 6 books that I read in October. I hope you liked this video. Let me know in the comment section which all books did you read in October. I would love to hear from you. That was it for today's video. If you want to connect with me on my social media, links will be in the description. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye.